Everyone, what's going on? Welcome back to the channel, and as promised, it's time for my review for a film that I have never seen before until just recently. That is the 1974 classic Black Christmas. Now, I had seen the most recent remake for this film, not the 2006 film, but the one that came out a few years ago. Wasn't the biggest fan of that film, but this one I absolutely fell in love with this film. Absolutely just adore this film now. And I think one of the reasons, well, before we even get into any of that, there will be some spoilers. So if you have not seen this film, like me, if you had not seen this film before, check out the film first. Come on back, watch this video. Now, our most notable names in this film are first, Olivia Hussey. She is Jess, our, in quotation marks, final girl. Because, again, it's left up to interpretation. Does she survive the end of this film? Who knows? Again, it's all up into, whatever you think when you're watching the film. We also have Margot Kidder, who's in this. She plays Barb, and she's pretty darn good. She is good. She's over the top, and listen to some of the behind the scenes, making of this film. Margot Kidder, obviously, she would go on. She'd have become Lois Lane in the Superman films, but she also had her own personal demons that she dealt with, throughout her life. And unfortunately, it looks like she was a method actor with, when she's like drunk in the film. From what I've heard, she actually was drunk on set, doing this film. Really wanted to get into the part, which is just, it's a shame considering things that, what happened later on in her life. We also have John Saxon, the great John Saxon. He plays our chief detective, our main detective. And again, he's great in everything he's always been in, and no different with this particular film. Now, this is the 4K Ultra HD set with a Blu-ray included. The transfer looks clean. Everyone, it is amazing. It looks beautiful. This, the one thing I got to say with this particular film, I'm not the biggest fan. I mean, when it comes to 70s films, yes, there are some that I do like. Some of the earlier 70s films, I'm not the biggest fan of. I don't know if it's just because how it looks. I'm not always sold that, because some of them just seem, a lot of those films, again, this is just my opinion, have a made-for-television type look to them. I don't know why. I have no why, but it's just the way that I feel when I'm watching some of those films. But this one does not feel like that at all. Nowadays, you see a lot of films that are trying to catch that retro look, make it look like they were filmed back, like, in the 60s or 70s or 80s. But this film, you could easily put this film out today, and it would feel like that. It would feel like somebody who actually went and filmed this thing now with an old style, trying to be retro. It works. It still is very, very much, I don't know what the word I'm trying to think of. Like, just basically the way this film just comes across. It's a damn near perfect film for me. Like, it is a 9 out of 10. It is a solid 9 out of 10. I love the aesthetics of this film, how visually this film looks. It captures Christmas perfectly. I mean, this sorority house where these girls are at, there's just something, I mean, there's not 1 inch of that house that does not look like it's decorated. The inside, the outside, everything looks like it's decorated for Christmas. So definitely, there's no doubt that it is Christmas time when this film is taking place. It's great. And there's a little bit of comedy in this too. We have Mrs. Mack. She's basically the caretaker of the house, watching over these girls and everything. And there are some funny scenes with Miss Mack. There's scenes when she's goes over to this bookcase and she opens up one of the books, and of course there's like a bottle of, I believe it was like bourbon inside this, this carved out book. That's pretty funny. And then when she's in the bathroom brushing her teeth, and she lifts off the lid for the toilet seat, and there's a bottle of bourbon stuck inside the toilet itself. So she's definitely, pretty funny with the certain things that she works with. But our first kill that we see on screen in this film is this girl right here by the name of Claire. Now, for Claire, this is an iconic scene because you see throughout the film, it goes back and forth. She's in the attic, stuck up in the attic, and unfortunately, she has this bag over, and just the gruesome look that she has, her look that she had in death as she suffocated, as our killer, killed her. And there's just something so great about, how this film just comes and just it keeps going back to that. Like, you'll have like Miss Mac will do do a little bit of comedy, but then it shoots right to this girl being, dead in this chair, this rocking chair right above in the attic. And it really comes through when her father, Mr. Harrison, comes to pick up his daughter for Christmas break, and nobody knows where she is. So he's talking to Miss Mac in the sorority house. Little does he know it, as Miss Mac is trying to, be like, a little bit of, a little bit funny with him. Little does he know, right above him, not that far up in the attic, his daughter is dead in this rocking chair. Now, of course, the only person who really sees our killer's face is Miss Mac. And of course, she gets this hook thrown right into her, and she's just, again, in the attic. Now, there are some red herrings thrown out throughout this film. Now, Jess, she's pregnant, and the father of her child is a pianist, and he does not take too kind to the idea that she does not want to keep this child, that she does not want to have this child. So he kind of goes off the deep end with that, and it kind of throws you for a loop exactly what is going to happen. His name is Peter, and there's a confrontation between him and Jess later on in the film. This film is not long; it's about an hour and a half, and there's a confrontation between the two of them. It definitely makes you think that perhaps Peter is the killer who goes by the name of Billy. And when these sorority girls first start getting this call from this killer, wow, it is effective. It is creepy as hell. The different voices that this killer is trying to, talking like a baby almost, and a woman's voice, and a man's voice, and a young child's voice, it's really, really tense. And the things that he is saying, wow, like there's definitely some language, but the language is mostly from what he is saying to these girls. It's really, really, it's not very nice. It's some naughty, naughty language that this man is using towards these sorority sisters. And as Jess, again, becomes our final girl, she, discovering her friends have been murdered, and, and the cops definitely, what they're trying to do is they're trying to phone tap to see exactly, to trace where the killer. That's something too. When this film gets to its climax within like the last 15 minutes or so, and our detective John Saxon, when he, finds out where these calls are coming from, and he phones one of the officers at the police station, and he says, call the sorority house. Let them know the calls are coming from within. That is terrifying. When Jess gets that call, and the lieutenant, who's not supposed to let her know the sergeant or lieutenant, I forget exactly, by the name of Nash, he's kind of like the goofball in the police station. And when he is trying to be subtle, he's told by Saxon to be subtle. Do not just tell her, put the phone down, get out of the house. And, of course, he lets her know there's somebody in the house, and this is when things really just take off. And it's Jess discovers her friends, has this confrontation with the killer, and then Peter shows up. And then as he comes towards Jess, something happens, and Peter has met his demise, basically. And of course, we're led to believe that he is the killer, and the police are all happy. Hey, we've caught this guy; it's done. And we leave this film with Jess, who she's relaxing, she's in this bed, she's kind of she's just unconscious after everything that she's just gone through, and the police just kind of like leave her there. Like, oh, she's gonna be out for a few hours, and they leave her there. And this is when it fades away and it pans away, because the killer would make a phone call after every time the killer killed someone, he would make a phone call. And that's how when it pans out from the sorority house and you hear the phone ringing, now that because Peter was not the killer, this killer by the name of Billy, who you never see his face. You see his eyeball, which is a creepy scene all unto itself. phone rings, and he's still alive in the house with Jess. So we don't know. It's left up to interpretation. Did Jess make it out of it? Olivia Hussey does a great job as Jess. The terrified look on her face when she's putting the phone down. Holy crap! I can just go on and on about this film. Some people say that there are some pacing problems with it, here and there, that maybe it's a little bit too slow. I don't think so. I think it moves just along at the right pace. You get a chance to learn all about these different characters throughout the film. Margot Kidder's demise, when she gets killed with the glass unicorn, I could see that. Like, that was as soon as the killer starts approaching her, and you see that, and out of the corner of your eye, you see this glass unicorn. You know exactly that's going to be the murder weapon. And like I said, Olivia Hussey does a great job as Jess. When she's putting the phone down, it's terrifying. The look in her face is just pure terror. That she knows the killer is in that house. And, what is she going to do? She's going to try to get to the door. She's going to try to go upstairs to see what happened to her friends. And like I said, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. This is something I'm probably going to have to watch like every holiday season, like every Christmas season. I'm going to have to put on Black Christmas, because this film just blew me away. A 9 out of 10 for Black Christmas. I cannot believe, I kicked myself for taking so long to watch this film. And like I said, it looks beautiful in 4K. Scream Factory did a bang up, knock it out of the park job with this film. Definitely go pick it up. I think it's still about like $27 to $28. Worth every penny. A 3-disc set. You get the 4K disc, you get a Blu-ray disc with the film, and you also get the Blu-ray disc with all special features. Like, this thing is freaking loaded with special features. Absolutely loaded. So definitely go pick up Black Christmas from Scream Factory. You are not going to be disappointed. So, like, subscribe, and comment if you get the chance, and I will catch you in another episode. Take care.